So they'll be calling you a radical. So Dillion Jones is pulled out of the NBA draft. And do I think it's the right decision? Yeah, I'm glad. I'm excited because he's a joy to watch. We're going to get to watch him play again. And the other thing that I think why it's such a great decision, and he would have went in the second round, but he's come right out and said, I want to be a first rounder. And he'll be a first rounder. So, but the other thing that I think people don't get, and I hope he understands this, and I think he probably does, we got an Olympics coming up. Yeah, already. And it's not in Fukushima, the nuclear games. Got to go with that left, Jerrick. 2024, Paris. Paris. So, could he be an Olympic athlete? Yeah, for sure. So anyway, the NBA Finals, of course, starts tonight. Talking about first rounders, I don't think the Heat have any first rounders. And I like Jimmy Butler because he's 2011 crop. Fukushima. That 2011 crop. And so Dylan told me to my face after his freshman year, he told me, I says, you do know that Damian never won a tournament game. Damian Lillard never played in a tournament. Neither a lot of these players. What? I said, Randy Ray's never won a tournament game. We haven't won a tournament game here since 1999. Harold Larson of the show and Mr. Gill, Eddie. Well, I'll guarantee we're going to get it. So, here you go. So, but, this is the thing that people don't get. Oh, we got a guy that's probably going to go into the NBA from here this year. This guy. So, Cuban really messed up last year. So, well, the scouts messed up. If you don't think NBA scouts got their heads up their ass, and NFL scouts got their heads up their ass, you don't know anything about this Miami Heat team. Whoa. Caleb Martin's undrafted. But here on this campus, Rashid Shaheed, he kept telling me for years and years, Rashid would always tell me, what's your 40, Rashid? Never been clocked. And I says, why are you always fucking with me? By the way, I tell, the only person I think that could really beat Rashid is his sister. Oh my God. Both of them. But anyway, so really, I guess the money matters inside the draft. And first rounder, if you're a first round draft pick, you're going to play in the inception because they put all that money guaranteed. They're going to play and sell your sports merchandise. But the player that Cuban really screwed up last year, JERRICK was the player of the year in the summer leagues. He's the best player ever played here. And Cuban had those two rookies that were all that, which, I mean, people forget Dallas was probably one of the favorites to go to the NBA Finals. They didn't even make the playoffs. They're bigger choke artists than the freaking Jazz. And so will Cuban invite JERRICK back? Well, he's going to play in the summer league for somebody, and I think somebody's going to pick. Well, they're crazy if they don't pick him up. He's the best player in the history of this freaking house, and that's saying a lot. Somebody asked me yesterday about, think Lillard's hit his peak? I says, Jimmy Butler's older than Lillard. And I says, no, have you seen him? Damian Lillard probably played till he's about 60. Oh, he's an animal. He's a beast. So his cousin will be here. Barry on the 17th. I'm hoping that Joe Ballenboy comes, but why would you leave freaking Greece to come here? But I'm hoping Eddie Gill comes. God, talk about a beast. He could probably still play now when he's in his 40s. Harold Larson of the show's coming. But Mr. Barry, I remember Randy telling me right here, he says, Kevin, when he came the first year or two, he says, I think he's better than Damian. He just doesn't have the work ethic. The workout ethic is Damian. I says, nobody has the work ethic as Damian Barry. Well, Dylan's similar. He's one of those. And so, anyway, Who's going to win the finals? Rocky Mountain Way. This ain't Colorado, but those long-suffering freaking Nuggets fans, boy, do they deserve it. But that Heat team, 8 seed. You know, somebody says there's been an 8 seed in the finals before. I don't. Probably beat the Jazz. Remember when the Jazz were the 1 seed and Governor Cox declared, yay, we're going to have, when they win the title, we're going to have, we're going to have a celebration for a bloop out. The greatest choke artist in sports history. Oh, it's the Utah Jazz, and I know. Oh, I know in those 90s teams, you go in the night for a 15-year period from 1985, Karl Malone, John Stockton, clear to 2000. That 15 years, the highest win percentage of any sports franchise in the country was the Utah Jazz. I remember when George Karl knocked them out when they were the 2 seed twice. Remember when Larry Miller fought him? In the stands. I mean, well, it was Jerry Sloan. He was too predictable. Phil Johnson, the coach here, should have been the coach. But, you know, that's it. They get caught and stuck in the mud. It's like here. It's like Big Sky basketball. People don't get the Big Sky basketball. These coaches all know each other. It's mega overcoaching. That's why I think these players do so well in Europe and do so well at the next level. It's like boot camp. They overcoach, they overanalyze, and they know each other. It's just, these games are wars. They should wear football helmets. Dillion Jones is just a beast. You know, like I said, so I think he made the right choice. And we're excited as fans because we get to see him play. And he's so fun to watch. But here's the guy that I think will play in the NBA. I think the NBA is such a sports merchandising league. So these draft choices, these first-round jobs, they got to play them because they soak all that money into them, got to sell their jerseys. You know, I told Damian Lillard right there, because he's got a boy-girl twin now. I'm a boy-girl twin, and I'm like, aren't those little child slaves in those NBA making their gear, aren't their little fingers getting a little sore? He sells a lot of merchandise. They're not letting him go out of Portland. No, he's an institution there. But, so, the best player, and they got to go with that left, Jerry. The best player I ever saw here, and that's saying a lot. So I'll see him all on the 17th. So this year I can tell you it's going to be about one guy all year, rightfully so. Rashid Shaheed. Look at it. Undrafted, and so Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler blows my mind. You know, he's 2011 crop. Bulls would never play him. Did he play in Minnesota? This team blows my mind. You know, Caleb Martin's undrafted. You know, I think the whole team's freaking late second rounders. You know, so, But remember last year, what Jimmy Butler did last year, and it was that close to winning the title. And so, and Denver Nuggets, long suffering. I mean, I go clear back to the Denver Rockets days, you know, in the old ABA. I love the old ABA, you know. By the way, did you know that Utah, as great as a basketball state this is, Utah State, Phil Johnson's great teams up at Utah State in those days. Cornell Green was on that team. And you go back, of course, Wayne Estes, the greatest player maybe in the history of the state, was killed, but accidentally helping some people electrocuted. University of Utah, of course, Majerus, that team went to the finals. Walt Masaka from here, they won a national championship. What was that, 1940s? Yeah, he's from Ogden. So is Arnie Ferrin from Ogden. So is Vern Garner, taught right there, high school at Bonneville High School. Of course, he's from Afton, Wyoming, but he lived here. So Ogden guys. So with Byron Scott, Ogden, you know, so, but there hasn't been a title won here. Not in college, not BYU. You got to go back to, Jim Eakins was the great player there. And he was a superstar back in the day at BYU. Of course, everybody, Danny Ainge. I call the Jazz the BYU. Danny Ainge. Okay. His last game in college, I believe, was here. And I think it was Clemson. I can't remember. But I remember all the fans were coming up to me. I can't believe it. It's Utah. And everybody's rooting. We're BYU haters here. You know, always happen. Big time. And so Jay Hill's left. So Weber State, we got a 99, 95. They'll both be here. Harold Larson, I got to tell this story. So that game was in Alabama. How the hell they ever lost that game blows my mind in 95. Well, Ruben Nemhart missed the front end of a one-on-one. Now that was a player. I wish he would come, Ruben. He's one of the true greats ever here. Jeremy Boyette. I mean, all these great players they've had over these years, and they can't win. Well, they won with Ruben Nemhart, Jimmy DeGrafferty. They won. You know, he missed a free throw, front end, and I remember in the locker room, Joel told him that front end just cost you several million. But Harold Larson on the show, same coach, same group, and Gil, who was Guy Beach, what a great coach, brought them. What's his name? The Celtics, yeah, same team. Coach. He says, well, this is what you got to do. His year come back, same thing as Dillion. You got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this to be a first rounder in the NBA. I'll never forget what Harold Larson said. I was standing right there. What makes you think I want to play in the fucking NBA? Because I don't. I loved it. So, you know, and I have eyes on these players all the time. I know them all. If you get the offer and the contract in Europe, take it. Take it. Don't take that two-way deal, that Ballin' Boy contract, that Jeremy Siegelin did, and waste a year or two of your life at the NBA. You get the big money offer in Europe, take it. Take and go. Go play over there. You'll have a lot higher quality of life, and you'll make plenty of money. And you know, it's not all about sports merchandising. So, but I got a hunch JERRICK Harding, and I don't think it'll be with Dallas in the summer league. I think everybody wants him in the summer league, but he blows my mind, actually. You watch his stuff from the summer league last year. You watch he's over there in that Spain. He blows my mind. I've never seen a player like him. Never in my life. And so I got a hunch he'll play in the NBA next year. He should. And, you know, if teams want to win. But I'm to the point, I'm not sure that teams do want to win in the NBA. They want to make money and sell sports merchandise and jack up. I don't think the Jazz have any really interest in winning. I don't think the Trailblazers have much interest in winning. You know, I hate to say this because, you know, even the Knicks. And by the way, I was just talking to my grandchildren live in Brooklyn, you know, and they're Brooklyn. And I used to go to those games. And I used to tell the scout, my daughter would always say, how do you know who's scalping and not? She says, I know these guys. I've been in Brooklyn for so many years. I'd go to the Nets or the Jazz game. I says, the Jazz are so bad. What? You want how much for the ticket? You should be paying me to go to this game. By the way, I can't stand that arena inside there. Yeah. But anyway, Barclays Center. So, I was just saying, you do know that Michael Jordan was born right there. You know those videos I shot in front of the hospital last year? Remember when I was there? Almost my heart attack. I mean, all those years. Michael Jordan was born in Fort Greene. You know, that's where Frank Layden's from, too. You know, that's basketball land. And so, freaking one time, half the NBA, I think, was from that neighborhood. And so, oh, you dropped your can. Had to get out the old can. So, I think he made the right choice. So, it'll be exciting to watch him, but just remember this. All these, the players that have been here the last 50, I got in a huge fight with freaking Randy Gregg. Really a big fight. He had no interest in winning late March, February. He was ready to go on vacation. He was all about the money. And he didn't win. And when Joe Ballenboy, that team, I mean, the players, Jeremy Siegelin, these players, how the hell, and they can't win the Big Sky? Lillard hit by 23 points at halftime in this arena, and loses? Well, that wasn't his fault. He's the number one free throw shooter in the country. He'd take the ball out of his hands. I mean, this is a free throw shooting league. These games turn into free throw shooting kind. Anthony Johnson never missed a field goal or free throw in the second half. He said later, I had an out-of-body experience. Well, man, I'll never forget. I'm sitting right there, and there's Lillard. As soon as they pass the ball to Sessions, foul! Doink! Lillard. Foul! Doink! Johnson, 23, 15, 10, 8. I know guys that I threw my headset across the fucking floor. I was so fucking. We're suffering fans here. We'll be a Utah basketball fan. The only time they've ever won a fucking championship is the Utah Stars in 1971. Zelmo Beatty, Willie Weiss. You know, the great Sherman. Oh, Wings, we will pretend. Speaking of lightning, Rashid, not that lightning. So, they haven't ever won anything since Watmasaka. First player color in the history of the NBA. Ogden, Byron Scott, Ogden, Byron Scott's real father, Ogden National Championships. So, all right, Dylan, we'll see. See Mr. Harding. Oh, Wings, we will pretend. Calling an airstrike on Blanch. Hurry, calling an airstrike on Blanch. Obnoxious. All right. Staying tuned. JERRICK in the NBA next year. Dillion Jones, Paris 2024. Maybe. I'm glad he's coming back. Staying tuned.